So speaking of which, we got some questions.
Speaking of questions. The first question. In episode 5, you mentioned treating people with a blank slate. How do you deal with misjudging a person in the event of you misjudging them?
Yeah. So that was, in reference to a person that we went through a counseling sheet on, and the fact was that I'd heard some bad stuff about him, he had a bad reputation, etc. And so I was saying that, hey, I treat everyone like a blank slate. Mm-hmm. And so first of all, I talked about this before, is I set low expectations for people. I don't have a super high expectations of what they're going to do and how well they're going to deliver. And actually somebody hit me on Twitter today and said something along the lines of, I like the fact that everyone with you starts at 0.
Right.
And he said, I'm the same way. He's saying he was the same way. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a pretty good attitude to have. Like, everyone starts at 0, know,
and that's a better way to put it, in my opinion, than low expectations.
Yeah. Like, okay, you have a 0. Mm-hmm. And again, I don't mean to sound like a negative person, but I just don't set high expectations. I set them at 0.
Right.
Like, you show me who you are. I'm not going to predict one way or the other. Mm-hmm. I understand that people do crazy things, and people are crazy in many ways. Mm-hmm. Their ego, their personality, their issues. I mean, their emotions. People do crazy things. So that's another thing that keeps me from giving people all kinds of credit out of the gate. And I do weigh what other people say. I take it into account, but I definitely am careful to use my own judgment and not cloud my vision with what somebody else said about so-and-so. So, how do I deal with misjudging a person? It's kind of what we were just talking about. I don't set permanent judgment on someone and say, Echo's bad, and I don't like him, and I don't trust him. That's not a permanent thing. I'm going to build from 0, and I'm going to say, oh, you know what? Actually, hey, he did a good job with that, or hey, he had my back on that. So I'm not stuck in my ways, and I don't hold grudges against people and say this person's never going to change. That being said, man, it's hard to change the spots of the leopard. People are who they are, and it's very difficult. Yes, sir, some people can grow and change and evolve, and that's great. But a lot of people, they are who they are, and so you have to take that into account as well.
Right. Yeah, when you say, like, trusting someone, when, let's say someone burns you in whatever way, and then, a week later, whatever, they had your back in a way that was really unexpected compared to, that action that they did. So basically what that does is help paint an overall picture of what kind of person this is to you. So where it's like, okay, maybe I can trust them in this type of situation when these benefits and detriments are in play, and these other situations I can't. So it's kind of this. And then as you have more and more experience with people, they paint more of a picture.
Yeah.
So trust, even saying trust, that's such a broad brush.
Right.
Certain incentives are involved. You can't trust a certain person to do or not do certain things, but offer up different incentives, and you can trust them 100%.
Yeah, and so I think the same thing that you're just saying is what I'm saying is I'm not going to misjudge someone, because my judgment is not a permanent, all powerful statement of one time.
Yeah,
I'm constantly looking at people and, like you said, learning impressions of their whole entity.
Yeah,
what they're all about.